Kamshachanuramardhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We salute Bhagavan Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the destroyer of the demons, Kamsa and Chanura, the dear darling of the mother Devaki, and the teacher of the world, the Lord of the universe. I salute him again and again. Om, peace, peace, peace. So we were reading Bhagavatam, that is chapter 3rd book, Skanda 3rd, chapter 1, and we were talking about, listening about Vidura, the great friend of the clan of Duryodhana. But he was abandoned and he was wandering from one place to another, and he met Maitreya and he was asking about, and Uddhava, he met Uddhava. And then the question was going on between the conversation between Vidura and the Uddhava. Now, along the river, he met many holy people and holy tirthas, many holy places he visited, and in that region all temples of Lord Vishnu, founded by the rishis and gods. And then he travelled afterwards. So here, now they are meeting. Vidura and Uddhava have met. 24th verse we start today on page 147. He travelled afterwards through the prosperous land of Saurashtra. These are all old names of our near Gujarat. Saurashtra, Sauvira, Matsya, Kuru, Jangala and others, until in course of time he reached the region of Jamuna river, where he happened to meet the great devotee, Uddhava. So here, Vidura is wandering and left the kingdom, and then he was driven away by Dhritarashtra, and so he was moving around and then going from one place of pilgrimage to another, and he met Uddhava. When they meet each other, Vidura held him, the serene disciple of Brihaspati, devoted follower of Sri Krishna, in his warm embrace. So they all embraced each other with joy. Then he began to question Uddhava about the men and women of his own clan, as also Bhagavan Sri Krishna. So Uddhava was asking Vidura, how is Krishna, how is my other friends and there, and he will be going on talking about, asking about many dignitaries of the kingdom. So Uddhava began to question Uddhava about the men and women of his own clan, as also Bhagavan Sri Krishna. Vidura then started responding to the question. Now, Vidura started questioning about the welfare of others. So, 26 verse says, are not Krishna and Rama, Balaram and Krishna, who incarnated on the earth at the request of Brahma, living happily at the house of Surasena after having been accomplished the good of the world? That means after this war, killing all the demons and all these Asuric people, is Krishna and Balarama. The Balarama is the incarnation of God, is living happily in Adishesha. Sheshnag. So that is the incarnated on the earth. Why? At the request of Brahma. So living happily, they are happening at the happily in the house of Surasena. Then he started questioning further, 27 verse. Dear one, is not Vasudeva a very valid ally of the Kurus, living happily? Like his own father, he behaved generously towards his sisters, meeting all the needs of themselves as also of their husbands. So he's talking about Sri Krishna Vasudeva, how he helped everyone, his quality, asking about some of the people of his time and then about their good qualities, mentioning how are they, how are they, how are they. Now they are asking about how is Pradyumna, was the commander-in-chief of the armies of the Jodhus. He was Kama in the previous life and was born as Bhagavan in the Rukmini, who worshipped holy men for the birth of a son. So, like that.
Alok and his sister came to celebrate my birthday.
Who?
This family. Alok and his sister. And they bought the most wonderful chocolate. So this family.
That's okay.
Yes.
So, he's talking about Pradyumna, was the commander-in-chief of the armies of the Jadus. He's asking about 29 verse, about Ugrasena, the king of the clans of Sattatus, Brishnis, Bhojas, and Dasarhas. They are living happily. Then he's asking about 30th verse, about Samba. What about the topmost car warrior, Samba? Then he's asking about 31st verse, about how is Sattaki, who received instruction in all sections of archery from Arjuna. Then he's asking about how is Akrura, the great devotee, who took shelter in the Lord. How is Bhoja's daughters, Devaki, that means mother Devaki, equal to the mother of the Devas. How is Aniruddha, a veritable yielder of the plenty to you? I hope all others like Siddhika, Charudesna and Gada, who serve the Lord with single-minded devotion, are living happily in Dwarka. So he is asking about everyone's welfare. And I hope that is Yudhishthira, who evoked the fierce jealousy of Duryodhana by the prosperity of his kingdom, now ruling the land according to the ideal of statecraft. That means inquiring about Yudhishthira. Then he saying, has Bhimashena, Bhim, the great wielder of the mace, is doing all these things. He is. What about Arjuna? Is Arjuna the most noted car warrior and the wielder of the bow of Gandiva? Is he ruling victorious with all his enemies destroyed? Then 39 verse. The twins among Pandavas, Nakula and Sahadeva, who are protected by their brothers, are they living happily, having snatched away in war their patrimony from the enemy? So, 40th verse. Alas, it is a wonder how Pritha, the mother of the Pandavas, sustained her life for the upbringing of her infant children after the death of her husband. The noble and heroic king Pandu is thinking of the mother, Pritha. Kunti. So how is mother Kunti? Kunti's glory, he sustained her life for upbringing of her infant children, because her husband, when he passed away, the king Pandu. Oh dear one, I am indeed sorry for Dhritarashtra, who has been degenerating day by day. See how he has been persecuting his own dead brothers by the persecution of his children. See how he has toed the line of his own sons, however heinous their conduct might be. So Dhritarashtra is blind. So how he is blinded by ignorance, he is persecuting the innocent, his brother's sons, etc., etc. Has driven me away, and so Dhritarashtra drove me away from home, though I am the best of his well-wisher. So he suggested, no? He suggested to Dhritarashtra, it is not good to go for war. Tell Duryodhana not to do this, do that. But he got angry, and so he left him, throw him out. That's why he out of renunciation. He gave up everything and wandering around the places. 42 verse. By the grace of the Lord, who has been mystifying all by his human role as incarnation, I am going about incognito, finding nothing surpassing in any happening, as I discern the mystery of the Lord in everything. The Lord put up with the sins of the Kurus for long, only as a step in affording relief to the good and holy ones, by destroying all the kings who were proud and haughty, with their wealth, power and blue blood, under the constant march of whose armies the earth was trembling. Now, the embodiment and works of the unborn and the unactionless, that means he's talking about Krishna. He's saying, Ajasso janmotpatti nasanaya karmani kortur grahonaya pungsang na anuannatha ko horti deho yogang paro gunanam bhuto karma tantram. It's meaning the embodiment and works of the unborn, that Lord who is unborn, who is never can born, unborn, and who is actionless, who is beyond all actions. That means he is the reality only. Brahman, actionless, unborn, are only for the destruction of the evil ones, take embodiment. That is the idea, the avatar idea. For the good of the humanity, he who has never been born, who is beyond all action, he took a birth and he did so much activity in the world and to establish peace and harmony. So the embodiment and the works of unborn and actionless, that one, this is for the destruction. Why he is embodied? Not for the destruction of the evil ones and the protection of the world from such persons. That is the Gita's idea. Paritranayo sadhunam vinasayo cha duskritam. To protection of the good people, holy people, and destruction of the evil. There are negative, that is destruction. So he says, are only for the destruction of the evil ones, and one ideal, and the protection of the worlds from such persons. Even a jiva who has overcome the gunas and the bondage of karma is free from body. So how can the Supreme Being be embodied except for the reason stated? So how a free Atman, so Bhagavan Krishna, as God himself. He came down. Why? Only for the purpose, nothing other. Two purpose: protection of the good and destruction of the evil. 45 verse. O friend, give me in details all news about the Eternal One. Eternal One who has been born among the Jodhus as Krishna. Now tell me about, I am very much interested to know about Lord Krishna, how he is doing. Lord Krishna, the Eternal One, he is all the time Satchidananda Sarupa, but was born as in the Jodhu's family, Jodhu clan, for the help of the deities presiding over the destinies of the world, and for the good of those who follow his commandments and taken shelter in him. So he is born to give shelter to the people who are in trouble in life, and also to help the other gods and goddesses who are ruling the world in different departments. Like all the gods and goddesses get frightened when this evil force comes. So gods also get thrown away from their kingdom, no? Evil when goes in the heaven, asuras take position and the suras are driven out. So God comes to protect for their good and for the good of humanity. Meaning, when Krishna, tell about Krishna, how he is keeping. These are the questions put by whom? Uddhava. Uddhava narration of Krishna. Uddhava, now Vidura is asking, because Vidura has not seen Krishna and everyone for a long time. So he is asking, when they met together suddenly in this way, then Vidura put these questions to Uddhava. So now the chapter, second chapter starts. Book number 3, chapter 2, and we start with verse 1. So Sri Shuka Uvacha. Now the Sukadev, come back to the story. This is a story in the story. Now we have to go back to the story. When Sukadev is there and the king Parikshit is putting the question. So he says that Uddhava's narration of Krishna's life. Now Uddhava is narrating, Sukadev is telling that story from the back reference. See, Suka said, 1. Being thus questioned about the dearest of his dear ones, that means Krishna and all other Yudhishthira, Arjuna and this and that, Mother Devaki. The great devotee Uddhava was unable to speak for some time. Uddhava, when this was asked, Uddhava could not say, owing to this surging emotion that what took him as he thought of the Lord and Master. As soon as he thought this question was raised, Uddhava is an ardent devotee of Bhagavan Krishna. So he was choked with emotion, unable to speak for some time. Iti Bhagavata Prishta Kshatra Varta Priyashriyam Pratibhaktum na cho utseha Utkanthyat Smariteswara. Utkantha, because of this anxiety, because of his emotion, he could not say something. His voice gets choked. So now this Uddhava, even as a young boy of 5, had refused to take his breakfast when the mother called him, because he was then immersed in his boy's play of the worship of the Lord's image. That is a story, that when Uddhava was a small boy, even 5 years old boy, that he refused to take his breakfast. Mother is calling for breakfast. But he was so engrossed in preparing the Lord's image. He was not like playing and chit-chatting or with other boys as the other young children play. It is not. But he is so absorbed in preparing the image of Bhagavan, God, Lord, that he ignored his breakfast, mother calling again. He is now an old man. This Uddhava is now an old man. This Uddhava having spent a whole lifetime in the service of the Lord. So he served whole life according to the ideal preached by Bhagavan Krishna. Bhagavan Krishna said, when Krishna is leaving, then Uddhava said that, what shall I do now? You are leaving the body? Krishna said, Uddhava, tvang tu sarvan parityajya, now you give up everything. He said, I will not live anymore, because if you die, I also die. You are my friend, guide and everything. I served you like a master. Uddhava served Krishna like that. Such a deep relationship. Now you are going to give up your body? So Uddhava said, I will also give up my body. Then Bhagavan said, no, don't do that. You give up everything, tvang tu sarvan parityajya, you giving up all your attachment and all your belongings, everything. Sarvan parityajya, geham, deho, body, etc., and all wealth and prosperity. Then you go back, go wander around the world. Samadrik, with an equanimity in vision, seeing God everywhere, seeing Brahman everywhere, seeing me everywhere. So you roam around. Samadrik vicharasya. And then by that way you preach me. That was the instruction given to Uddhava. That's why Uddhava now is roaming around. That's why he says the Uddhava, now has become an old man. Whole life he served and loved and worked for Bhagavan Krishna and his. So he is now an old man, having spent a whole lifetime in the service of the Lord. Now thinking as he was about that dear Lord of the Master continuously, how could he now answer these questions put to him about that great personage? So he was thinking, how can I talk about Bhagavan Krishna? Inebriated with the nectar of bliss, 4th verse. Inebriated with the nectar of bliss emanating from Krishna's lotus feet, he stood for a while silent and caught up in the full sentiment of God love, with the horripilation all over his body, with tears flowing from the half-open eyes, and with a flood of God love overpowering him. Uddhava looked like one who has attained the supreme object of life. So when Narada and Uddhava and this is Vidura, when Vidura put this question, he was overwhelmed choked with emotion. Such a deep emotion. So his whole body was horripilation with joy, thinking of Krishna, and also tears because of the apparent separation. And he looks like, as he says, and his love for God, all this made the personality, Uddhava, looked like one who had attained the supreme object of life. But he is so much intoxicated in the thought of Krishna that it looked like he is a man of realization. Sa pulakadvinna sarvanga munjan mila dadrisha sucha punnartha laksitastena sneho prasara sampluta. So with full of love, he appeared to be a person who is very much intoxicated in God, as if a God-realized person. 6th verse. Slowly descending from the divine consciousness. Because when Vidura put this question, so Uddhava was overwhelmed. His mind was going back to all the stories, what happened in the life of Krishna. And he was, from childhood, he was the follower of and servant of Krishna. So slowly descending from the divine mood of ecstasy, consciousness to the human level, Uddhava wiped away the tears of his eyes and began to reply, remembering the Lord all the while. So thinking of Krishna, he now started telling the response, all the questions asked by Vidura. So Uddhava is now questioning, giving the reply to the questions. Uddhava said, verse number 7. What am I to tell you about the welfare of those friends and relatives of whom you have inquired when the sun of Krishna has set and the python of time has swallowed our clans, when thereby we have been reduced to mere non-entities in the world? It's a very emotional statement. Emotional statement. Here Uddhava said, Krishna is no more in the world. Krishna has left the body. After the war, after everything is done, his duty done, so he has already left. Because Uddhava, as I told you, Krishna and Uddhava was with him, with Bhagavan Krishna, and he called Uddhava, so now I will be leaving this body, so you think of me and live in your way. Then he said, no, if you go away, so I shall also go away. I shall also die with you. Then the Krishna says, no, you have a duty, you go around with equanimity in vision. Vision should be equal. Everywhere see God. Equal, who is equal? Only equal is Brahman. Equal is God. So see God everywhere and wander around. And that period he made this Vidura. So Vidura, then he has already left home much earlier, before even the war, before the war started. Now he said, Uddhava, he is saying that, oh my God, what can I tell about Bhagavan Krishna? Krishna Dutam, Krishna Dumanim Nil Moche. Baba, I cannot. Girnasa Jagarane Jagarena King Nuna Kushalang Bruyang Gatosrishu Griheshu. The Krishna is gone. Because of his presence, everything was lighted. He has left our hearth and home. He has left this earth. So all the glories of our clan, that is all, is now dim. It has become as the night has dawned. The light is gone. Krishna was the light of illumination. So what am I to tell you about the welfare of the friends you have asked? Duryodhana, you said Yudhishthira, this, that, Mother Kunti, etc., etc. What can I talk about you? Because all the relatives whom you are inquired. Why? That the son of Krishna, that's Krishna as the sun, has set, and the python of time has swallowed our clan. And all our family members were swallowed in the mouth like a python. Python does what? It swallows everything, the whole body, it takes away. So time has killed everybody. All these people you are talking about. And when thereby we have been reduced to mere non-entities in the world, we have no entity anymore because of Krishna, we have something, no? Because of his Krishna's glory, we are glorious. When Krishna is no more, we are no more. We are nothing. And this is the very famous verse in the Bhagavad, many times quoted here and there. It says, Durbhago vataloku rajam yadavo nitaramapi ye sangvasanto na vidur haring mina iva urupam. This is the famous line. He says that this verse says, this is the misfortune. Durbhagavato loko, and this is the misfortune of the whole world. Why? Thakur also said, the Bauler Dal, Yellow and Gallo, and the group of singers, celestial musicians, what called they came, played, sang and left. No one could recognize them. So he said, Bhagavan Krishna, it is the misfortune of the whole world, because misfortune for the world at large, because the God came as a Krishna, and we belong, blood relation as it were, in that family, but we could not recognize them. Like the reflected moon in the water, when the fish in the night time see that reflected sun, they think it's a bright fish probably, and they play with the reflected moon. So we also played with him, but don't recognize the glory of Krishna. So that is the repentance as it were. So the 8th verse is very important. It says, this is a misfortune for the world at large. It is all the more for us, so for the Jodhus, because he was born in the Jodhu clan. As the fish do not recognize the glory of the moon, so long as they see the reflection of it in the water. When the moon sets, no more reflection in the water, the glittering fish gone, then they thought, oh, who was there whole night we played with him? So joyful, so cheerful, so bright, so powerful. So God, we also are like helpless people. God came, lived with us, with our relationship. He was someone's uncle, someone's brother, someone's husband, someone's, all the relationship. When God came, He played with us. But we didn't recognize that He is a moon in the sky. We saw the reflection. Out of compassion, He took a human body and played in the world. But we could not recognize, we could not understand Him. Do you know here? No. Louder, okay. I think little loud is good. Yeah, because you are the only regular person. As the fish do not recognize the glory of the moon, as long as they see the reflection in the water, taking it to be the only one among themselves, so did the Jodhus fail to recognize that Sri Hari himself was still then staying with them. Little less. He is He in whom all the world reside, was regarded only as a Jadava chief. Krishna was understood as who? He understood as the chief of the Jodhu clan. That he was born among the milkmen group, is called Jadavas. So he, means Krishna, in whom all the world reside. Krishna is a human, but no, in his body the whole universe exists. In the 11th chapter, no? not, which chapter? 10th chapter or 11th chapter? Vishwarupa Darshan. 10th chapter. In the 10th chapter, Arjuna saw in the body of Krishna the whole universe. So that saw all the sun, moon, stars, all the warriors, the entire universe, everything in the body of Krishna. So he, in whom all the whole world reside, was regarded only, we understood he is our leader. So chief, Jadava chief, the chief of the, and the members of the Jadava clan, in spite of their being clever in understanding people's mind, of possessing high status and citizens, and of living together for long with the Lord. Only we know that he was our chief military force, the Raja, king, and that position of high status as citizen, we understand we are high citizen in this kingdom, and living together for long with the Lord. It is now we also repent sometimes. The people we saw in our life during lifetime, we could not recognize their glory. Being very close to them day and night, we don't recognize. When they go away, pass, then we think, oh my God, what I missed, what I didn't understand that time. So here also this Uddhava is always keeping a repentance. I was there, I could not recognize his glory. He is the Lord of the world. Only we know he is the chief in our chief of the that clan of Jodhus. And he was very kind, he was very, but we didn't understand that God himself has come down. So what a mistake. Those devotees whose minds are absorbed in Sri Hari, the Supreme Spirit, are never confused by the words and attitudes of those who under the influence of the Lord's Maya look upon him, some as relative, some as clansmen, and others as their enemy. But we are fools. But among us there are people who know that though he is not overwhelmed by Maya, there are among us, there are people who recognized that they are not, it is by God has come and played by his own Maya, some as he is a relative in someone's eyes, someone says clansman, and others as the enemy, Duryodhana and others. He has to fight with so many asuras. They thought Krishna is my enemy, Kamsa. Kamsa thought Krishna is the enemy. So he has to fight, but they know it's God himself, they are acting with God himself. So they do not understand. So those devotees whose minds are absorbed in Sri Hari, the Supreme Spirit, those are fortunate people who love God, they could understand that God, Lord, has come down. That those devotees only whose minds are absorbed in Sri Hari, who is the Supreme Spirit, who are never confused by the words and attitudes of those who under the influence of the Lord's Maya look upon him, some as relative, some as clansmen, some other as their enemy. 11th verse. Revealing till now that charming form of his, even to persons without much austerity or devotion to their credit, he has now withdrawn that form, insatiably attractive to the person viewing it. Now, revealing till now the charming form, Krishna, when he was here, now he has manifested and became our leader, our relative, but now he has withdrawn his power and gave up the body. That's why he says the person without much. But even we people who have not done much austerity, but we are fortunate to be with him. He has now withdrawn the form, insatiably attractive to the persons viewing it, and disappeared from their midst, taking away even their eyesight, as it were. So Krishna has now appeared and did his all purpose, why he has come to establish dharma and adharma to destroy. After that, he has withdrawn. He lived with us, though we are not so pure that we have done so much austerity or practice of meditation, but it is God's grace. He was born within us, now he has withdrawn. 12th verse. The body that he assumed by his yoga power, yoga maya. So Bhagavan, when comes, how the infinite becomes finite? It is his yoga maya, yoga power. As the magicians play, by his power he creates so many things. So similarly, the body that he assumed by yoga power for his sport as a human being was astonishing to himself, as it represented the alchemy of beauty, surpassing all that decoration can achieve. Seeing at the Rajasuya sacrifice of Yudhishthira, that form of the Lord, so delightful to the eyes, all the people felt that Brahma had exhausted all his skills in making this body. It's so superfluous language. In the Rajasuya Yajna, who did that? Yudhishthira did a Rajasuya Yajna, means that he is the king, one king in the whole India. So those days that was a horse would be allowed to go. Oh, the Rajasuya is what? All the Rajas. They called all the Rajas kings of small denomination, and they come and participate, and in the participation of the big Yajna done by Yudhishthira. And when Krishna was present there, he was signing like, felt like as if Brahma, God, have created everything, but he has exhausted all his skills in making the body of Krishna. That means very attractive, very powerful, very charming, very smoothing. The women of Braja, the gopis, stood forgetting to complete their domestic duties, as their minds were entirely drawn by their eyes that pursued his loving smiles, sportive actions, and entertaining glances. The gopis were attracted by the beauty of Bhagavan Krishna's form, so charming and so full of love. Now, Uddhava starts talking about verse number 15 to 34, about the early life of Bhagavan Krishna. First of all, he said, it is a great loss that Bhagavan is no more in the world. He has withdrawn himself, and we could not understand. Though we are born in the same family, we thought he is one of our great leader. We are proud of him, and we are happy when he was here. But now he's left his body, and so we are all become powerless. Now he talks about life of Krishna. 15th verse. Just as the fire manifests in the fuel, he, Krishna, the Lord of all, of what is high and low, assumed an aspect of his own Maya, and was born in the world, overcome by the pity at the sight of his fierce creations, persecuting the mild ones. So again, talking about the same thing, that as a fire sometimes is there in the fuel, but it manifests sometime. Similarly, the Lord Krishna, Bhagavan, of what is high and low, assumed an aspect of his own Maya. Through the Maya, he manifested himself. Why? Seeing is his creation, he has created this universe. But these fierce creations persecuting the mild ones. Stronger people giving trouble to the weaker people. As it is going on now also, look at this society. Who has the power always dominates over the powerless. Powerful country dominating over the powerless countries. Dadagiri. So anything goes for any country, America will say, you cannot do that. I am getting angry. So they will be shrinking. China will say, hey, go on, I'll show you. So Dada, all are great powers. So when evil forces like that happens, so he then by his Maya comes. Even I am puzzled to find how he, the unborn, omnipresent, should take birth in a prison cell in which Vasudeva was incarcerated, should hide himself in Braja as if in fear of his arch-enemy Kamsa, and should run away from his own city of Mathura for fear of Kala Javana, as it were. So they are storing up all these childhood stories, no? It is surprising, Uddhava said, it is really surprising. The Lord God of the universe, he took a birth. I am puzzled to find that unborn, that omnipresent Satchidananda Brahman, how could take a prison? He is born in the prison. We go to the Mathura. There what you find? You go to the jail. Kamsa put the father and mother of Bhagavan Krishna into jail. What is the name? Vasudeva and Devaki. And killed one by one all the children. Kamsa killed. They are all put to jail and chained in the cell. And that you can go to see the cell. If they kept it in the same way, again, part of the cell. Did you see?
Everything you say, the same thing.
No, I am saying there is you can get an idea where the parents were put into the jail. That is the birthplace they consider, and there is a consequence. So, the Lord God of the universe is coming. There is no auspicious celebration. Rather, he is put into the jail. His parents are put into the jail. And he is crying like a baby. So, that's why Uddhava says, Uddhava is a Jnani. Because Uddhava Gita, if you read, then you will understand. So even I, Uddhava, am puzzled to find how he, the Lord of the universe, Krishna, the unborn, omnipotent, should take birth in a prison cell in which Vasudeva was incarcerated, should hide himself. And that Krishna, God of the universe, he was then ordered, no? His father, take me to the other shore, Mathura. And he is hiding out of fear of Kamsa. Vrindavan he will go, yeah. Mathura, not Krishna. Mathura to Vrindavan. Mathura he was born. But actually he is hiding himself and went into the stealthily. Where? Crossing the Jamuna river and then reached the... Yes. Then...
Like umbrella.
Say Basuki, that's it. So anyhow, should hide himself in Brojo out of the fear of the arch enemy Kamsa, and should run away from his own city of Mathura for fear of Kala Javana, as it were. So how can I believe the God, Lord of the universe, is fearful of a person like Kamsa, who is an evil person, and out of his fear God is frightened and is born in a jail, and in that jail he is hiding from there in the night when it is rain, and then a miracle happened. All those stories are there, how it happened. So he asked his father to carry him on the other shore, and then I feel extremely pained at heart whenever I think of his making obeisance to his parents and apologizing to them thus, "O father, O mother, owing to fear of Kamsa, we have been forced to be ungrateful to you, but not doing out our duties towards you. Please pardon us for the same." Who is saying, "Oh, being that condition, I feel extremely pained." Uddhava said, "I am feeling pain, I feel bad when I think of his making obeisance." The Lord God of the universe is saluting obeisance, making obeisance. To whom? To them, means his father and mother, parents, saying, "O father, O mother, out of fear of Kamsa, we have been forced to be ungrateful to you, because the child should stay with the mom and dad and protect them when they become young. But out of fear, we departed. We asked you, take me to the other shore." No? So, doing our duty. So, I'm sorry, I didn't do the proper duty, because you remained in the jail, and I escaped as it were. So, I'm surprised how God, Lord of the universe, can be so humble and prostrating before Vasudeva and Devaki, and saying that I could not serve you properly. My mom, my dad, I could not serve you. I got separated from you. I could have do something better. Verse 18. Whatever that has been once smelt the fragrance of the dust of his lotus feet, whoever that has ever even once smelled the fragrance of his dust of his lotus feet can forget him. The mere frown of whose brows proved to be the god of death to relieve the earth of her burden of evil men. Who is Bhagavan Krishna? He is saying that he became so humble, so small, that he is frightful about Kamsa and had to hide himself and could not perform his duties towards mom and dad. He is saluting his mom and dad and saying, sorry, forgive me, I didn't do justice to you. We are afraid of Kamsa, that's why we didn't. But what is Krishna? Krishna is such a powerful, whoever that has been once smelled the fragrance of the dust of his lotus, that means if you could take a dust of Bhagavan Krishna, you become powerful. You become powerful. And the Lord himself is fearful. What a miracle. I could not understand the glory, mystery of it. God is so powerful, but playing like so innocent, helpless. So I cannot understand. So whoever in the world has once take a dust of the lotus of the feet, can forget him. The mere frown, and if he gets angry, if he just frowns like this, even the god of death to relieve the earth and the burden of all evil men, everyone gets frightened. All of you had seen how at the Rajasuya of Yudhishthira, even Sisupala, the king of Chedis, who insulted Krishna, attained salvation with yogis aspire for performing many severe yogic practices. How can one bear the separation from such a personage? So, how can I bear the separation from Krishna in this way? Similarly, Krishna's realm was attained by all those kings. He's saying at the same time Krishna is so kind that Chedipal, Shishupal, Chediraj, the Raja of the Chedi kingdom, his name is Shishupal, such a rogue, but Bhagavan, he killed, but he gave him the freedom, liberation by killing. Similarly, Krishna's realm. So similarly, Krishna's realm was attained by all those kings, all those bad kings. They all reached after death. When they are killed in the war, they went into heaven to live with Krishna. As we chant in the morning time, Chandi, the mother, what is your glory? Even those people, you have killed them so that your weapon touches them and they become liberated. You could have killed them without using your weapon, but you did it just to free them from bondage. So what a great kindness. So similarly, Krishna's kindness. Similarly, Krishna's realm was attained by all the kings who died in the field of battle, seeing the smiling, fascinating face of Krishna before them as they fell purified by the shaft of Arjuna. So when Arjuna is killing, and before that, Arjuna is standing, Krishna is there in the front, and Arjuna is in the back. He is the charioteer. Charioteer sits in the front, and the warrior is just behind him. So looking at Arjuna, but they are seeing Krishna. And seeing Krishna, they got liberated from their all the evils of life. He is the controller of even the Trimurti, Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara. He is satisfied with the enjoyment of his inherent bliss. There is none equal to or greater than him, the Krishna. At his feet, all the protective deities of the quarters bow down their crowned head with their offering. Krishna, before him, everyone bows down, all the kings also. Yet, with what great humility, befitting a faithful servant, did he stand before the king Ugrasena and make submission before him, as the latter sat on his high royal throne. We, the dependents of the Lord, are struck with sorrow to think of this humble role of a servant adopted by the Lord. So he said that even Ugrasena, he showed respect to that person who is to be respected by the gods and angels all. In whom else will you take a refuge except in him? 23rd verse. In him, in whom else will we take refuge except in him, the most merciful one? For lo, think how even that evil woman Putana attained to the highest state, to which his mother also is eligible for having suckled him, though in the case of the demonish, the suckling was with the intention of killing him. So even the Putana, who was with the evil tendency, came, and she got realized, she got freedom from that life of that evil demonish body. So I consider as devotee even those asuras and wicked men whose mind attained to concentration on Krishna due to antagonism towards him. For in the field of battle they saw, as they fell, the Lord himself attacking them, discus in hand, seated on his eagle vehicle. So even I consider as devotees, even those asuras, the asuras who fought against Bhagavan Krishna, they are fortunate because they saw the figure of Krishna, and by seeing they got liberated. Desiring the good of the world and prayed to by Brahma, the Bhagavan incarnated himself in the prison of Kamsa as the son of Vasudeva by his wife Devaki. So, therefore, a few verses are there. Let me read. Next, afraid of danger from Kamsa, his father took him to the cowherd settlement, where he stayed along with his brother incognito, hiding his divinity, till his 11th year. That means up to 11 years, he lived in there. That's the Bhagavata says that Sri Krishna lived in Vrindavan for 11 years. All the gopi play we hear about, that is the authenticity in the Bhagavad. But we see in our all the pictures and things, they make Krishna as a young man, and all the girls, young girls. So as if they are playing some unethical play, the young people. But it is only child's play, a boy of 11 years boy playing with the girls. So that is the historic side of it. Afraid of danger from Kamsa, his father, Sri Krishna's father, took him to the cowherd settlement, where he stayed along with his brothers in incognito, Balaram, hiding his divinity until his 11th year. Herding calves, accompaniment by the cowherd boys, he sported in the thinly wooded pastures on the banks of the Jamuna, having trees full of chirping birds. No? So the childhood of Krishna was spent this way. The birds were chirping, and these cowherd, the cowherd boys are rearing the cows. So, and under the playing with the boys, he left his young childhood. Possessed of a lion's calf's majestic demeanor, he delighted the inhabitants of the cowherd settlement by his charming looks, by his boyish pranks, and by his cries and laughter. As he grew up, he delighted with the strains of his flute. His friends, the cowherd youths who accompanied him as he tended the numerous white cows and bulls of that prosperous settlement of the cowherds. The many asuras with magical powers and capacity to assume many forms, whom Kamsa sent against him, were destroyed by him with ease as dolls by children. So they are saying that when the Krishna was in the childhood days, so Kamsa sent so many demons and what you call asuras, and they can take different forms, and they wanted to kill Krishna, but they were killed by the power of Bhagavan Krishna. Reviving the calves and cowherd boys from the effect of the poisonous water of the Kalindi river. Kalindi river is Jamuna. Jamuna river, that story, no? There is this Kalindi Pullo Kamale. Kalindi Pullo Kamale, we chant every day mantra. Madhavena Kirarata. In the Kalindi river, in the Jamuna river, the Lord Krishna used to play, the Madhava, the Lord Krishna. So, and that area was polluted by the snake, poisonous snake, and that is also name of Kalindi. Kalindi. Kaliyo. Kaliyo. And then Bhagavan Krishna killed him. So he punished the serpent Kaliya and dismissed him from those waters, which he freed from their poisonous nature and made drinkable by an act of his will. By his own will, he killed this demon and also made the water drinkable by everyone. For the proper use of the increasing wealth and the cowherd settlement, he made Nanda, Krishna made Nanda the head of the settlement. Apart from many sacrifices for the benefit of the cows, with the help of Brahmanas. Oh friend who? Uddhava saying to Vidura, oh friend, when Indra, engaged and smarting under insult, began pouring incessant rain, he protected the terrified inhabitants of the cowherd settlement by playfully holding the Govardhana mountain as an umbrella over them, like in a finger. No? In the moonlit nights of the autumn season, Sarat, he filled the place with sweet strains of his flute as he sported in the midst of the women, enhancing their joy and praiseworthiness. So he says all the glories of Krishna and how he protected the good people and destroyed the evil. So that was Uddhava's first reminiscences. So this life will continue. The next day we'll read the chapter, third book, chapter 3. We'll start there. Thank you. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Sri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu. Now we have some question. Swami Ashokananda says the incarnation is higher than God because he is God's redeeming power, whereas God also has binding power, Avarana Shakti. Why does God bind according to Bhagavatam? For fun. Yeah. He does not bind, it is for fun. Sometimes you...
Devotee binds the Lord.
Eh?
Devotee with his devotion binds the Lord. That's why I said that I don't want to give bhakti, I want to give bhakti.
That's another attitude. But what Swami Ashokananda Swami says, the incarnation is higher than God because he is God's redeeming power. Only the redeeming power. That's a very important point. God creates this whole universe, no, for play. But something maybe of here is joy also, there is suffering also. But when there is good, there is bad. God has created in this world. From his perspective, nothing good and bad. Painter creates so many painting. But he is not angry with somebody and depicting some angry picture. It's for fun. A person with anger face is also creation of the artist's mind. A sweet face, that's also artist's mind. So it is just expressing both ways. There is no personal grudge or good or bad feeling in the creation of when God creates anything. But there are two. We find that there are two from our perspective. There is good, there is holy, there is unholy, there is sacred, there is non-sacred. But when you think of Krishna, God, incarnation is only compassion, only holiness, only purity. That's a beautiful idea Ashokananda Swami has given. Thank you for bringing into our attention this beautiful word. Then why does God bind according to Bhagavatam? God does not bind. He played and he created himself. It is all farce. There is no, when you call that creation, it is like you stand in a mirror, room in a mirror with 1 million small reflecting mirrors. So you make a good gesture and bad gesture, they will reflect in millions of forms. They are not created actually. Some good, some, there may be good mirror, there may be a bad mirror, there may be a convex mirror, there may be a concave mirror. So your face remaining same, God remaining same, His appearing in different way. The creation is appearing. So it is not with vengeance or anything He has created, bad or good. But from my side, I am a reflected form of the jiva. I see another is good, he is bad. But from God's angle, there is no such division. But that's why it is for fun. If you say why He has created, it is fun. But incarnation is only good, only God's compassion. Another question, we read that Sri Ramakrishna now and then entered into Samadhi. Are there a similar records for Lords Rama and Krishna also? If so, Krishna's relatives should have witnessed it as well. Is not it? It is said that God, we do not know, we don't see that, but there are descriptions when they get totally absorbed and motionless. But like Samadhi or that type of description, what we find in Ramakrishna's life, that was not really written clearly in the Rama and Krishna's life. But Sri Chaitanya's life we find that he is singing and dancing and going into ecstasy and becoming totally like Ramakrishna. So they are examples. But that is not the point. One point is there, when God comes down, He comes in different age to meet the different needs of people. So sometimes Rama has to come to kill the Ravana and other demons. How many troublesome entities were there when the Rama was taken by the Dasaratha, that way, to save the Vishwamitra, to save their Jagna place. That means there are disturbance from so many. So he has to show the power of Rajas, king as killing the demons and fighting and this and that. Krishna also had to show the need, to solve the need of the time. He had to take a role as a king, and he has to be born in a certain way and acted. Ramakrishna came in this age. He is of pure sattva, the same God, sometimes using Rajasa power, sometimes using Sattvika power. So in this age, for harmony, peace and ecstatic experience, they always, Ramakrishna was in Samadhi most of the time. We didn't find that he is taking a sword or a bow and arrow and killing someone. This is not the role of this age. So a same God comes in different age. So Ramakrishna came in this age for
His weapon was that pranam mantra.
pranam mantra, yeah.
By offering pranam, he conquered.
He conquered even Girish Ghosh and others. Okay, so God plays in different ways for the good of our humanity. So that's why I may not be very well known about Rama and Krishna's. If there is somewhere that he went into Samadhi.
Rama passed away in July. He committed suicide. Krishna passed away in that way.
No, that is his question is that is there any Samadhi like Ramakrishna going into ecstasy now and then? We don't hear about that, no recorded history with Rama's place. We didn't know much. Maybe those who have read much details they can say, but I didn't know yet that it is.
Chaitanya Samadhi is there.
Samadhi is not the question. They are going to Samadhi like Ramakrishna goes every day, now and then. Do you find in Rama's life such story?
Rama and Krishna, not Chaitanya.
Not Krishna. Do you find? That is the question. Do you find such stories or incidents as in the Ramakrishna's life, going to Samadhi now and then? Samadhi, that is not the point. After death, Samadhi, we are not talking about that. Anyhow, okay, we'll see you again at 7:30 in our Santi Gita class. Okay, Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace.